Hey everybody out there, it looks like we are live. Great to see everyone. How's life going? We made it to another Wednesday. Let's see who we have. We have Mr. Steve Leahy. How are you, sir? So sorry I missed your 4th of July live stream, but I did see how it looked. That was really cool. I like the anatomy on that skull. It was really very cool, my friend. So great work. And so, Mr. Leahy, could you tell me some of the news on your show that you were in at the Butler Museum of American Art? Any new developments? I'm sure there's good news coming. So, I'm very inspired by that and pushing me to exhibit more. So, you are definitely an inspiring artist to follow. So, a friend did bless me with lots of golden paint today. Let's see. These are some amazing colors that I got today, which I'm very, very excited about. Let's see. Mr. Brad Mummery, how are you? Good to see you. So we have some transparent, so really into transparents and opaques lately. So I have transparent red oxide, and this is old school. These are the old airbrush colors. Look at that. That's old school. So I remember that's when I first started. I had these transparents, which were great, you know. Mr. Chris Garcia, how are you, my friend? Good to see you. Oh, well, it's one of many, many more to come, and bigger shows and bigger venues there, Mr. Steve. That I know. Quinacridone red, which is a beautiful transparent color, very much like Cad Red Deep, or yeah, Cad Red Deep in the opaques. Transparent brown iron oxide, which is a great color, and you look and you see just how transparent it is. And then here we have burnt sienna. So these, I'm going to show you that these colors are made with the same pigments, right? Your burnt sienna and your transparent red iron oxide. But this one, the burnt sienna, would be a semi-opaque, which means it leans on the scale of fully opaque, but it's not there, and this is transparent. How they would do that is they would grind the paint up a lot finer for the transparent, right? Because you have to see through it, which is really good. Hey Raul, how you doing? Amazing Giants painting you did. That just blows my mind how great that is. Naphthol red, that is a semi-transparent, right? So that's really good, naphthol red. Raw sienna, which is funny. Some paint companies will make it a fully opaque. Some paint companies will make it a semi-opaque. This would be a semi-opaque. Titanium white is opaque as the young people say, hella opaque, right? And yes, the golden notes, the actual pigment, which is really great. Plus Wicked, I'm excited about as well. Really excited about that. And so here we have cerulean blue. Just look how opaque it is. However, if you bought this with Winsor & Newton, it would be classified as a semi-transparent. So your colors are not inherently transparent or opaque these days, because they're milled with different pigments. Now this is interesting, fluorescent blue. This is a purely transparent here, which is really interesting. It's a series 5, so that's interesting. And oh, Blumber, love Blumber. I can't wait until they come out with Blumber line. That would be amazing. Here we have phthalo blue, phthalo green blue shade, right here, phthalo green blue shade, and that's definitely a transparent. Then we have here is raw umber. Very interesting color. Here it's a fully opaque, but that's usually a semi-opaque. So I've been getting into the whole science of opaques and transparents, semi-transparents and semi-opaques. This is real important information for us to have whatever paint we're using, because they'll do something totally different. It's like the difference between if you're a fisherman, you know, certain pound tests will be for a different fish, you know, the thicker lines would be for a different fish, that sort of thing. Wendy, how are you? So cool. And so Steve, oh, Blumber is proprietary. Oh my goodness, that is so good. So that is, I'll make sure that I get permission when I use it. A few of the colors that are really cool. I have transparent red iron oxide, which is the same as the other ones, a transparent burnt sienna, let's face it. I love this one shade in gray. I use that a lot here, and it's just a transparent black, but it's really like my light mixture in the India inks, which is very interesting. And then dioxazine purple, really super transparent, super color, right? Look at that, really nice. So when I do my I'll show you my oil palette to this. Now I have to find a home for these, but I'll be using them tonight most likely. So I'm going to bring over my oil palette and show you guys how important it is and how I separate it. I'm not holding anything back, so whoever is here, you're getting the straight dope. So let's see. Right here, I'm going to go ahead and get rid of me and Michela for a moment. Okay, the way that I have my oil palette set up, which is right here, starts all my transparents. These are fully transparents coming up here, which is very revolutionary in the sense that all of these are completely transparent on this side, and I try to have the complementary colors or the counterparts in opaques on this side. These are fully opaque. They will cover everything. If you have a pencil line, you would use this. If you wanted to glaze after it's dry, you would use these. Now, from the center point, these will be your semi-opaques because they're on the opaque side. So that means that they lean towards fully opaque, but you can still see them through, like, you know, maybe like wearing really dark sunglasses. And these would be your semi-transparents. And remember how opaque the golden was with the cerulean blue? But cerulean blue in my oil color brand actually is a semi-transparent, which means on the scale of 1 being fully transparent and 10 being fully opaque, it's like a 3. So think of it like that. And the uses of those colors and having a counterpart of them are really crucial for understanding what the paint's going to do when you apply it. And also, paint is going to have different uses at different times, and especially in airbrush too. And I want to talk about that in my live streams in the future, now that I'm going down the road of working in color on my live streams. So let's see if I missed anything here. Going with the transparent acrylics. Oh, cool. Yes, definitely, Wendy. I don't divide warm and cool. Now, why do I do that? Because that's really something you could see, but you cannot see the difference from this color right here, actually this color right here, which is transparent orange, to cadmium orange. You really can't tell the difference unless you know where they are. But I can know a red from a green, a blue from a purple, that sort of thing. And even your semi-transparents from your semi-opaques. Those are things you want to do. And then some people might say, well, Tim, why do you have all your paints out? Well, they do me no good sitting in the tubes. And there's not a lot. So I'm devising a way to kind of have like a palette of some sort with the airbrush colors that I'll be using, because if they're out, I'll use them. If they're in a nice little pile or in beautiful rows, I'm not going to be using them, you know. So that's it does look like a and it's just as fun as candy too, Steve. Just as fun. That's for sure. But definitely you want to wrap your head around a transparent, an opaque, a semi-transparent, a semi-opaque. It will change the way you're thinking. It will change the way that you actually approach a painting. You're not just mixing a color. You're not just saying, I'm going to get that color and mix it. No, it's much deeper. Like chess, are you going to put down a nice opaque that is lighter so you can come in with a beautiful darker transparent to get exactly what you want? And then you're really kind of you're playing chess and not checkers. It's a very deep, very advanced this is a very, very advanced concept that I'm bringing into painting. And I'm looking at the work of the 18th century and early 19th century French neoclassical painter Jacques-Louis David. And he did this, and then of course Ingres, and then Bouguereau, and all of that. So very deep stuff, and I just wanted to share some of the deep stuff with you guys. And Chris says we only eat paint chips. It's, you know, thank God we don't have colors like lead white, emerald green, because those are completely deadly, which are no longer around. Have you guys ever heard of the old drink that was from the 1800s that Van Gogh used to drink, called absinthe? And it was like completely deadly. And when you drank it, they said that you would see a green fairy. And so they actually called the drink the Green Fairy. It's really scary. So it was outlawed, and I think it just got out of not being outlawed anymore. But must have tasted like antifreeze or something like that, right? Pretty scary stuff. All right, so sound quality check. Everything is good so far, guys? They do have lead white. I believe Rublev still sells it, but they're getting a lot of heat, and I don't think they're going to be able to do it anymore. I know Thomas Harding was doing it for a while. So, yeah, I think it's not going to last. Because, you know, even though it's... oh, thanks, Brad, and thank you, Wendy. So even though, you know, it is... it's still legal, but they're getting a lot of heat, and pretty soon you're not going to get pure Naples yellow, which used to be called tin yellow. You're not going to be able to get lead white. I hear manganese is getting a lot of heat, so you're not going to get manganese blue anymore. So a lot of these colors that we used to get, but you know, with the chemical processes and everything like that, you know, you can make them with chemicals, right? You know, like quinacridone, dioxazine, all those different processes. You can get every color basically using the synthetics. You know, like synthetic brushes. You know, it was always like you had to get the $100 sable brush, but the synthetics are right up there with the sables now. Oh, thanks, Brad. Brad says hit the like button. I appreciate that. Hey, Colette, how are you? Great to see you. Colette in the house. You rock, Colette. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure I have enough light. And we're going to do some color pencil work today, you know? And then we're going to go ahead and work on her hair a little bit, because I didn't really give her enough hair. You know, like up here, there's a lot more hair to be had up here. So I think that will bring out her beauty even more. So that's really important. So what I want to do is just work on her lips a little bit. So let me get that up in Pure Ref. Does anyone have Pure Ref out there? And if you do, just put in the comments that you have Pure Ref. If you don't, I'll talk about it a bit. Wow, Mr. Steve Leahy. Yes, to get that Naples yellow out of my system. I like blending with my fingers. So well received, Mr. Leahy. Thank you so much for that, my friend. I really appreciate it. You know, you are like incredibly inspiring. I owe a lot of my techniques to watching your live stream. Hint, hint. Steve Leahy's live stream Mondays at 6 p.m. 6 to around 7:38. He gives away artwork, so that's amazing. So that alone, plus he has his YouTube channel, which is really picking up speed. I mean, I've seen that YouTube channel grow like crazy, but really it should have grown faster, because it's just really out of this world. Just amazing, amazing stuff. So really incredible. And all right, and okay, I'm going to talk about something else with you guys. So, like I said, this is like Tim not holding back anything. I am giving away this store only because nobody comes to my live streams lately, but the people who come, I love yous. So, I'm going to tell you a new breakthrough. Steve, you're going to be interested in this. You know, so Raul, let's watch this. So this is a painting I'm working on, and you're going to be like, well, what are you working on? Canvas? Are you working on some sort of oil painting paper or anything like that, right? Guess what I'm working on? This is oil paint, and you can do this with airbrush, acrylic. Thank you, Wendy. This is oils, but look at this. I'm working on color line paper, and you might say, Tim, how the heck are you working on 99-pound? This is Dreadnought Gray. No, this is Gunmetal, and it's by De La Rowney, which is the predecessor to the Canson cardstock that I use. Right? Look at this. Right? But why am I able to paint on this, you may ask? And funny you asked, because I put this on it, which is shellac. And shellac, yes. Mr. Brad Mummery, thank you so much for that. You are amazing. Brad has been with me almost 4 years. He is doing amazing artwork. The man is really inspiring as anything, and now he's a full-time painter. So that is incredible. Now I used this clear shellac. So you might say, so Tim, you're using clear shellac on paper. What are you doing? Isn't it like acid? No, it's not acid. It's like number 6 or 7, which is acid free, right? And it's been used by the old masters, but no one talks about it. And what it does is that you can take a drawing or a painting or anything. I'll give you a for instance. So here's something I'm going to be painting on. I did this with Airbrush and India ink, right? And also this is with the Createx illustration white. What I did was I did just one coat of this shellac, and there's only one brand out there that uses it. Just one coat, and make sure you cover it. And now I don't lose my drawing. The pencil lines are safe. The ink doesn't bleed, and now it has a beautiful coat that you can actually airbrush on, and it won't bleed into the paper. It's so much better than gesso, so much better than gesso, because gesso is going to absorb, right? And we don't want absorbing. So this is something that it's actually you're going to keep the luster. I've been working on gesso so long, I'm not going to tell you, because then it'll show how just old I am. But you will retain the brilliance of your work, of the paint. Oh, you do have it. Make sure you mix it really well and make sure it's not too old. And but yeah, do that. Experiment with that. So as you can see, this is 2 layers of paint so far, and that's oils. And there's no damage to the paper. It's not soaking through, and it is really amazing. So those of you who are here, it's going to blow your mind. It really is. And this shellac is $23. You get it on Amazon. I'll put a link in the description. You get it at Amazon. So I'm going to put a link here for you guys to find it, because let me go get that link for you, my friends. You'll be just 2 shakes of a lamb's tail. And let's see. Okay, here we go. Perfect, and almost there. Wow, Colette, thank you so much for the green fairy. So here's the link. It's no more money getting it from me. It's just a curated shopping experience. I get a slight little teeny tiny commission, but it's still the same price. But I'm not saying that for that. I'm saying that because you have to try it. And look at this. So this is, I did a full painting of this, and of course this painting is still available, the actual painting, but I did a second one as a demo. And what I did was, you can't tell, but this has a layer of shellac. When you get the shellac, it's in the link I sent you. Mr. Chris Garcia, thank you, my friend. Unbelievable. Wow, Colette, you are amazing, and Chris and Brad and Steve. Oh man, you guys are knocking it out of the park. Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate you. So the beauty of this is, guys, is that you can do an airbrush painting, right? You can do airbrush and India ink, or Steve Leahy's amazing layering that he does with his black and whites with his 543s. At that point, you can put this shellac on it, and that will lock it in. And then you can go and you can airbrush on there. You can do oil paints. You can do acrylics. It's just really just changes it and makes it, and it's really smooth, but it has a little bit of tooth. But if you want a second, a little bit more, right? If you want just a little bit more of a shine, then you do a second coat. What I recommend is using one of these foam brushes. This has become like a QVC for shellac, right? I'll be right back. I gotta show you. Okay, so I like using this one. Is one of these foam brushes. You get them everywhere. This one's like 30 cents. And you get a big one if you're working big. This one's like 50 cents. And you put that in there and you just go like this. Make sure you cover it. No specific direction because it's just self-leveling. And you put that in and you let it dry. Don't touch it for like maybe 6 hours, but you'll see that there's no evidence that you did it, except on the back it might have done this, but you don't feel any difference with it. It really is amazing. Thank you so much, Mr. Garcia. That is so inspiring. So how long will this last you? For years. And you can put this on, let's say, those inexpensive boards that you get. They come with white, and you could go ahead and put that on here, or maybe you even have a gesso board. But let's say you don't want it to soak as much. Put one coat of that shellac, and you'll get a much better reflection of your paint, because it won't be sinking in as much, right? And that's really the main thing. How did I find out about this? Well, I went back in time. No, I didn't go back in time, which would be cool. But I found this one guy in Korea who was doing it on Facebook, and I couldn't understand him. But Colette told me about how to change the closed captioning so I can read it in English. And I was like, wait a second, shellac? You know, me being, classically trained, that's the last thing I wanted to do. It's like, no way am I putting shellac on my artwork. But it's purely archival, and you don't want to spray this stuff because it's shellac. Okay, so you might ask, so Tim, where does shellac come from? And, where does it come from? What is it? Is it some sort of synthetic thing? You guys are going to freak out, but I'll show you exactly where this comes from. It's just going to be one quick moment. When you find out, it's just really cool. I'm going to show you right here. Let me see, save image. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to bring in the image and show you what factory this comes from. Let's see, downloads. And we'll just put this in downloads. Okay, now watch this. It's really cool. This is where shellac comes from. It's excretions that come from this bug, and it leaves like these little crystals, these flakes. They leave that secretions on the branches, and that's what they make it from. So it's a strictly natural product, and it really is super wild, it's just really incredible. Wow, Brad, thank you so much for the second super chat. You're amazing. That is so great. I just think that is so perfect. I really appreciate that, Brad. Thank you. So Steve said snails, very close. It was a little animal, but one's an insect, but you were close, so you get half credit there, Mr. Leahy. So Wendy says a beetle, she gets full credit. Hey, honey, how are you? Great to see you. So you guys are incredible. Thank you, Brad. So Brad with the second super chat of the day from Brad. You guys are incredible. So that's my thing, I just wanted to give you guys this gift. What good is having this information if I don't share it with my good friends? And the amount of friends are getting smaller because the amount of people coming to my live stream are getting smaller. But that's okay. It makes it more and more special. That's how I look at it. So definitely that was really cool to share that with you. And you guys all have my email address, and you can IM me if you have any questions. Tim, what's this shellac you're talking about? You know, this is, you know, but definitely I want to share that with you. And I'll show you one of the things that happens when you are using gesso, right? So here is a painting I'm working on. I'm not done, but this is my version of the Girl with a Pearl Earring by Johannes Vermeer in 1600s in Delft in Amsterdam. And you can just see, honey, thank you so much for this super chat. I really appreciate it. I'm so appreciative of you and your support. Thank you so much. I love the artwork you're doing. Thank you so much. Wendy says she thinks it's because of the summer. Nothing personal. Oh, thank you. Even if it's just you guys, I'm really happy with that. It's size doesn't matter. That's what she said, right? I took that from Steve says that on his live stream, so that's funny. But really cool to see you. Go out for a nice supper, Tim. Thank you. I will, my friend. Maybe I'll order a pizza. I appreciate that, Brad, so much. So you see how it sinks in here and there? Well, you're going to have some of that with shellac, but you're going to have a lot less of it, right? So you'll have less of it, and that's good. But now you could take your paper, your favorite painting, and you could draw on it. You can maybe do a black and white or a sepia airbrush on it. Put one coat of shellac on that, let it dry. You can airbrush on that. You can do oils, you can do acrylic. But remember, you can always go oils on top of acrylic, but never acrylic on top of oils. Remember that. So once you do oils, you can't do anything else on it. So always remember that. Just a little caveat. And Colette says, we're all going to Tim's for dinner. He's making fresh bread. Oh man, I've been making some French baguettes lately. Really good. Oh, Wendy, thank you so much for the super chat. That is so incredible. Wendy has been one of the original people on this channel. I mean, just incredible. When I first started live streaming in 2017, Wendy was there. She was like maybe one person or two persons. I used to do it like at 4 in the morning sometimes. But definitely, you're definitely one of the veterans. That's for sure, Wendy. And I appreciate you, and I appreciate your super chat. Definitely, you guys are you're busting it. You know, you're just breaking it open today. And I just want to thank you guys. But yeah, you know, wouldn't you like to do some small studies, right? And you could just take a bunch of like color line paper, Canson paper, just put some shellac on that bad boy, and just do an airbrush study where you're not so married to it. Also, I seen an artist, what they did is they took a sketchbook, a sketch pad, and you can shellac the pages, but make sure it dries, because if you close it, you're going to have one big page. So you're just going to shellac one page, let it dry, go on the other, shellac it, let it dry, and you'll be able to go in there and do airbrush. That is cool. This will definitely, I don't know if I'm alone in this, you guys let me know, but a lot of times I don't airbrush or paint because I don't have a board or a canvas or something already set up, and it kind of like slows me down. Or if I don't have this new color and I want to try it and see how it works with a new color. But now with a shellac, you can go ahead and do something small and just test it out. It kind of, you know, like how the musicians have their beat laboratory, right? You can have like your painting laboratory. And, you know, you got a couple of hours, make yourself 10 sheets of different paper, different color paper, stuff like that. and let that dry and just go to town and do some tests and have your color laboratory going, right? So Brad says, look what you started, Steve. Wendy says, yes, would be here all the time, just my brother doing, oh, that's so cool. I think that's great. Wendy does some amazing work with her website design, and she's an amazing painter. She works in pastel and just incredible. Go Wendy, that's for sure. Okay, so that's it. I mean, I opened a vault for you guys today, and it's special when I open the vault, but I definitely want, good question here, she just checked. It said this: shellac is naturally UV resistant and does not yellow and darken with age. Thank you so much. It's so true. It's like, okay, so a lot of this stuff that I'm tripping over lately is because I'm delving into the work of the old masters. There's this one book called The Twilight of Painting by Yves Gamel. Whoa! Chris Garcia with $20 more. I am definitely going to get a pizza, and I'm going to put some chicken on that. Oh my God, Chris, thank you. Thank you so much. That really means a lot to me. And I know you work hard and, you know, protecting us and everything like that. So that means so much to me, Chris. Thank you so much. Really, really, I'm encouraged. I really am. You know, there's 9 people here, you know, and these are the best 9 people ever. So I'm so glad you came by to say hello, and during this live stream, everyone who's here is meant to be here, and I just want to say thank you. So Chris with the second $20 super chat sticker, that's amazing. So incredible what you guys are doing, really. So yeah, the shellac is UV protective, and it's also acid free, right? So it's pH balanced, so to speak, so it's not going to start deteriorating the paper. That's incredible. And your color is not going to fade if it's now you want to be careful that you use paper that is acid free, right? But even then, I think you're protected, because the shellac's going to have a protective coat between the paper, and here's the shellac, and then the paint's going to go on there. And then you go and you put your varnish on there, Gamvar, or what Steve and Chris do. They'll spray that the varnish on there, the UV clear by Createx. So some fun things. So my next painting I'm going to start next week, I think, or maybe the week after. So this is going to be it for Michela, my painting of Michela. But I'm actually going to be working with, possibly either this week or next week or the week after, doing a portrait in Createx. So that is for you guys, because I know that not everybody has these fluid acrylics, and working in Createx, a lot of you all have that. So I think it would be better for you guys, right? And also, you know, I want to learn more about Createx. I see the great things that Mr. Leahy is doing with it, and Chris is doing with it, and I definitely want to, and also what Raul is doing with it, and all of you all doing it with that. So when did I get a southern accent when I'm saying you all? Well, it's better than saying yous guys, where I'm from, because that's what we say. We say yous guys. Yes, definitely don't want to shellac on a stretch canvas. This is definitely for boards, for paper. That's where it really shines, especially on paper, because you definitely are opening yourself up to working on different papers, different colored papers, different sized papers, stuff like that. And Wendy says you can put it on top. Yes, very true. So that is very important. I'm not a big fan of canvas. Of course, I learned about canvas in art school and at the National Academy and university and everything. Canvas is too expensive for me. I don't work that big, and I just don't, you know, it's hard to get rid of that texture. You can get rid of the texture, and you do get rid of the texture, but it's still something that, you know, is it's intrusive, you know, for me. And I know I don't have the patience to go ahead and, you know, really get in there. Wendy says, too much room to store. Yes, that's true. Canvas. Well, you could roll those bad boys up, right? I have some big canvases downstairs from the early 2000s, and I really should get to working on storing them and even showing some of them. But those are pastels actually on canvas, which is interesting. So I have these old Prismacolor color pencils, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually come in and we're going to work on her lips. So stop talking, Tim, and start painting, right? There we go. And let's see. When he says takes up much room, she means the stretched ones. Yes, it does take up a lot of room. Now that's why we have to sell our work, because we can't keep them all forever, even though we want to. So I have white, and I have this color right here. It looks like a light lavender. And I'm just going to be looking for colors that I might want to use for this. And over here, just get the full Monty, so to speak. And that would be cool. I think that's great. Anyone want to buy some abstracts? Yeah, you know, Wendy, and that's another thing. You definitely want to try and sell your work. You know, I know they're your babies. You know, every one of us, they're my babies. And when I sell it, I'm a little bit sad, but you know what? They're going to a good home, and that's what they're there for. So right now we're going to sharpen these. I'm going to go sharpen these. I'll be right back. So I'll be talking while I'm sharpening. The color pencils, they really sharpen well, which is nice. And I have this really cool pencil sharpener that kind of sits on my desk back here. So what kind of pencil sharpeners do you guys, say in the comments what pencil sharpeners you use, and what's your favorite one, which one do you hate? Do you think a pencil sharpener is, like a good pencil sharpener is important, or do you use a razor blade or something like that? Pastel pencils are just like horrifying to sharpen, especially in the summer. Mr. Patrick, how are you, my friend? Good to see you. Patrick, all the way from Massachusetts. He is doing a great painting of Miss Audrey Hepburn, which is great. Oh, fantastic. So Wendy says she uses the hand ones, the small ones, because you don't want to waste that expensive pencil. Yeah, you know, that's a lot of people do that. And so I'm so glad Mr. Patrick made them. And so that's cool. So Wendy's going to sell her work. Try eBay, Etsy. I know it sounds kind of weird, you know, that's where you sell, you know, people sell, you know, knitted things and stuff like that, but be surprised how many people make good money selling their work on Etsy. Put it up there, it's not expensive to list it. All right, it was like 93 today here. Oh, so Raul uses MAPED pencil sharpeners. Is that the brand? I got to look into them. Honey says that she thinks the razors, you waste less lead. That is very true. That is very true. And Patrick says he finds he wastes more pencil using the small sharpeners because they keep breaking his lead off inside the sharpener. That's a big problem, especially in pastel. And Colette says, honey, she agrees, but the ER visit was more costly, oh no, with the razor blade. And Wendy also says she's going to paint over some of them and do mixed media. That's great. Try this. Try Try using acrylic or airbrush and do oil on top. That would be amazing. Mr. Gregory, how are you? Great to see you. I'm so glad you're here. Mr. Gregory's from Oklahoma. And he says that he found that eyeliner sharpeners work well for both pencils and erasers to get the right shape. Couldn't tell you the brands. That's ironic because when I was like in my teens and a little bit older, my mom and sisters would use my pencil sharpeners for the eyeliner, and I would go to use it for my pencil and I would get wax all over my drawings. That was not fun. Raul says he buys the Blick because they are cheap and the blades are replaceable. Very cool. Wendy says that that's what she's doing now with acrylic then oil. Perfect. That's the greatest combination ever. But never acrylic on top of oil. That's like crossing the streams. Bad things could happen. Wendy says she uses eyeliner razors. That's funny. That is so cool. Okay, so now I got my glasses on and I'm going to want to work. Like, I think I need like a flesh color, a darker flesh color pencil here. Let's see what I got in here, what I have in here. Trying to up my English speaking. Alright, so we got some good colored pencils here, and let's make this happen. Alright, so looks like we have a little bit of deeper amount of color here. So we want to see what this does. You know, a lot of times when you paint, the color that you have does something different when you look at it on the actual painting. So you can see this is a little lighter than I thought it would be. So that means this one is going to be darker. And I'm going to, I know it looks really like rough because I'm blowing it up, but that's because only I'm blowing it up. Let's see, I'm just going to come over here, put some life in her lips. Poor kid. Okay, got this lighter color here. The great thing with colored pencils is that you could go over that, just kind of glaze over it, and then if it gets too powerful, we just knock that down. And that looks very overzealous. So now we just have to be patient. Don't get scared. And just continue working the system, whatever system that is. Okay, see, that really works. And then I just darken this area. And then there's like a kind of cool purplish color right here. Oh, cool. So the board is gessoed, right? Yes. So this is a gessoed board. No marble dust, just gesso. And these are Prismacolors from like the 90s, okay? These are old. I don't even think they sell these anymore as they are. So this is definitely old school stuff here. Now, colored pencils, you may ask, you can clear coat over that, so it's no problem. Doesn't cause a problem. Now, pastels, I'm not sure, so I don't advocate pastels. And that actually, that purple with that, you know, with that pink color actually is exactly what I'm looking for. Will you gesso over this? Oh no, no, this is, I love this painting. I definitely won't gesso over it. Yes, so you see more. So it really isn't a lot of texture, but the smaller the picture that you're working on, and the tighter the detail, that's where you're going to see more gesso. If I was doing like just a portrait, like almost semi-life size, then you would definitely see the you wouldn't see the texture as much. And also I have the light coming from the side, which is kind of bringing that. Oh, shellac. No, definitely not, because shellac is more for working on top of it, right? So I'm just going, when I finish her, I'm just going to go ahead and start working in, just go ahead and put Gamvar on her with a brush, which I love Gamvar. Now, if you guys don't know about Gamvar, I'd be happy to talk about it and why it's the best thing since sliced bread. And I don't recommend ever airbrushing Gamvar, because you don't want to. It's not healthy. And so I'm going with that brown. Remember that brown I had? That worked really well as soon as I locate it. And just stick with it, guys. That's all I ask. Just stick with it. They said in Animal House, please stay calm. Everything is okay. So let's see. No, I found that you can also shellac over the painting. So, honey, talk about what would you like to talk about, or what would you like Wendy to talk about? Dave says what honey said. So let's see. I've used cold wax over watercolor. Yes, cold wax is actually a very interesting medium. I've seen it in the oil painting world a lot. So, but I haven't seen it in the airbrush world. But cold wax is definitely interesting. Oh, Gamvar. So Gamvar is incredible. And let me go get it, so this way I can show you. Be right back. So here's the beauty of Gamvar, and this is this stuff. Let's see if I could zoom out, and let's get rid of, we'll say goodbye to our little lac bug here. There we go. So Gamvar is interesting. It came out not too long ago, and it's by Gamblin. And it's an oil painting company, but this is a clear picture varnish. They have matte and they have satin, and some artists will actually mix them. So what's amazing about this is that it has hardly any odor. Let me see. And I believe it is. Yeah, it has hardly any odor. Doesn't mean you want to sniff it, but it's still dangerous. But you could put a coat on this, or even 2 coats on your airbrush painting or your oil painting. The wonderful thing about this is that it really, just like any varnish, it brings out the work and the colors and everything. But if you get their solvent, which is called Gamsol by Gamblin, you can just take a rag with that particular Gamsol on it, and you could remove the varnish. Why this would be possible, let's say you have a commission, you varnished it, but all of a sudden your client's like, yeah, but where's little Billy? He should be in that painting. So you're like, how am I going to put little Billy there? I already varnished it. So you can go ahead and use the Gamsol, get rid of it, get rid of the varnish, and then go in and paint it and then put the Gamsol back on again. So that's really cool. Let me get the link for you for that, definitely. Now, one of the great things about Gamsol is that normally if you're oil painting, you have to wait like, I don't know, something like 6 to 8 months. But with this, you just wait until it's dry, which is about 2 weeks, which is groundbreaking in itself, right? So that right there is really cool. So all those different things are really great in the sense that you could remove it very simply. Gamsol is odorless mineral spirits. Gamsol is the mineral spirits that you would remove the Gavar. So Gavar is the varnish, and Gamsol is the solvent that you would remove that varnish. So those are very important to get that. So Gamsol also helps to blend colored pencil. That's very interesting. Yeah, so Gamsol is an incredible product. I really like Gamblin, and I'll tell you why I like Gamblin so much. Because with Gamblin, they're really committed to, you know, healthy studios, right? They're really committed to make sure that that you're healthy, you're not breathing in harsh chemicals, you don't get it on your hands. So they're always looking for ways to have healthy alternatives, and that's important, right? So I'm going to get that link for you all, and so here we are. So I'm going to tell you to get the 8.5 ounce bottle, because you can put a little tiny little cup like this and, you know, fill it up right there, any brush, and that's it. So I don't want you to spend that much money. Try this small bottle. Let me get that for you. Okay, here we go. Okay, so here's the link. And like I said, it's no more expensive for you to hit that link. You get the same price. It's just I get a teeny tiny commission. But really, give it a try. Do it on a small painting. See how you like it. They have gloss, they have matte, and they have satin, which is right in between. I know several artists who will actually mix the gloss and the matte together to get whatever sheen they want. Oh, thank you. Honey says hit the like button. I appreciate that. They sell a non-toxic oil medium. Yes, I have that medium. This is incredible. It's called solvent-free gel, and I use this to spread out my transparents to make them more transparent. I'll even spread out my semi-transparents to kind of be able to glaze with that. So very, very good. You all, you know, follow me so you can see that this is a painting I did, and this is totally varnished. As you can see, totally varnished and protected. Now it's just like right here, I'll probably do one more coat because there's a difference in texture here, but still, when you put the Gavar on it, it really does protect it from dust, and that's the main thing, protection from dust. But I'll put another coat on this, and this will be beautiful. I mean, this is a little this is a master copy of a George Innes painting, landscape. Mr. Gregory, thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate that. It is so wonderful to see you, and you know, always appreciate your comments, sir. And thank you very much for being a friend of this channel. It makes a big difference, and I'm just greatly encouraged by you all. You all are just like amazing with a capital A, and I'm so excited. I do love that gel. The Gamblin gel is like ridiculous. I mean, I did use the liquid, and the liquid's really good, but it smells like model glue. And the liquid, I'm kind of worried about, you know, breathing that in, especially for my little kitty. But the Uh, the Gamblin solvent-free gel is just as good and better, and it's safer. And you know, the thing is, when we're working in the studio, we have to say to ourselves, yeah, it's not going to hurt us right now, but the more we work, the more it's going to hurt us, right? And that's like really scary. So Gamblin solvent-free gel is really inexpensive in comparison, but I highly, highly recommend it. And I really hope that you get this, because it's really great if you're an oil painter, of course. And they have a smaller tube, but this is a good size tube for like $16, and I would definitely give that a shot. It is better than Liquin, and I'll tell you some of the reasons. Liquin is great, don't get me wrong, but Liquin smells funky. If you leave your brushes accidentally overnight and it has Liquin in it, you might as well throw that brush away. Pam, how are you? Great to see you. So glad you're here. Liquin is toxic, definitely, Wendy. So, and Miss Pam is from Virginia, so always great to see you. And Brad says, have you decided on the next live stream painting yet? No, but I'm thinking of using Createx paints. And I think you guys are going to love that, guys and girls, because a lot of you have Createx paints. So why not, you know, do stuff that you maybe will follow along, or see a way that I'm doing it. Be like, yeah, I like the way Tim does that. Or you could say, wow, maybe I don't want to do it like Tim. Wouldn't be the first time. Am I right, everybody? Wouldn't be the first time. And so, yeah, it's great. You know, I recommend trying different mediums, just playing around, try oils, watercolor. Yes, another color painting coming down the pike. I'm still going to be doing my black and white, because I do love doing the India inks. They're just so much fun. It's where it all started, all began as far as this channel goes. But yeah, I mean, I'm really getting involved in color into the point where I'm just like falling in love with it again, because remember, I studied classically with all this stuff, so you know, I learned from the very best in the art world, and I came to the airbrush world, and I worked in color in the beginning, and then after a while I just said, why don't I just concentrate on just black and white, get all my values in line, and you know, look for working in contours and stuff. So I decided to do that for a while and concentrate on that with the channel and with my students. And now it's like, now we're going in color with a vengeance, but a good vengeance, and really starting to, you know, take color to that next level. I don't do anything halfway, right? So you'll see that I go right into it. And Raul says Createx illustration paint is cool because you can scratch and erase it for a period of time before it hardens. Wow, that's amazing. For yourself, Raul, how long would you say is that open time to go ahead and scratch that? Because your work is like simply out of this world. If you haven't seen Raul's work, it's just ridiculously good. I mean, just ridiculously good. And once again, thank you so much, Mr. Gregory. You are incredible. 48 hours. Wow, 48 hours. That's amazing. That is. And, you know, it's great to see all the different artists and how they use acrylics with airbrush. And it really just blows my mind, you know, when I watch Mr. Leahy. Watch Raul and see the stuff that Brad's doing and everything. It's just really something to see different approaches, how people, even what subject matter people choose, right? That's really great. Just doing some of the wrinkles here in her lips that we all have. So I'm doing some wrinkles here, and now I'm going to come in and try and do some of those highlights. we'll see how it goes. Now it looks pretty rough here because it's a close-up, but it should translate pretty well once we come over here like this. Oh, Wendy says, depends on the surface you paint on. Oh, so Drew said 24 hours, but yeah, a lot of factors could really play, you know, like, are you in a, you know, a more humid studio, right? Mr. Leahy, if you're still here, do you find at different times of year that the paint acts totally different, like in your studio? Because I find that a lot. Like, I know the winter, everything just sort of hums better than the summer, including myself. Now it looks rough, but when we zoom out, you're going to be like, okay, Tim, I see what you mean. Or you're going to be like, Tim, I don't know what you're talking about. Raul says, oh, it depends on the surface and the paint and everything, right? And Raul says, if different erasers from soft to coarse has different effects. Yeah, so true. It's great, all the insight we're getting from each other today. That's really nice. So as we zoom out, you can see there's a little bit of a method to my madness. You see how her lips are starting to look a little more interesting. Well, her lips are super interesting, but in my painting looking more interesting. I'm gonna we want her nose to have more light on it, so I have this kind of cream, actually called Cream 1914, or 914, sorry. And we're gonna put some more light, because this is the part of her face that is facing the light most directly, so we want to make sure that we give it more attention. Just kind of rubbing that in there. This would be akin to scumbling in oil painting, right? So that's pretty cool. And then I'm going to take this purple, this really dark purple, and I'm going to work in the dark of her lips, because purple is a little more interesting than black. And just accentuate her beautiful expression here. There we go. We'll do the same with her nostrils. And, you know, people might say, well, why are you working in, you know, you're doing an airbrush painting, why are you working? Because you're going to do whatever you can to get the effect you want with success. So going in with an airbrush, yeah, I mean, it takes some bravado and stuff like that, but, you know, do you want to take that risk if you can have lower risk by doing it with colored pencil? If you have the tool, it doesn't make sense to go ahead and risk it. And at the end of the day, no one cares what you use. They care, does it look like the artist intended? And that's important. It really is. And so for you purists out there, I do apologize, but I'm going to do whatever I can to make a successful painting, you know. And there are times where there's a reason for me to do everything in airbrush, but it has to be a very good reason. Ah, thank you, Raul. I appreciate that. Thank you, sir. So you see, I'm going to hit those highlights with the colored pencil here. And then right here, I'll just do a little scumbling. And for you oil painters out there, you'll know about scumbling, which is really cool. And scumbling is really great for doing the actual paintbrush techniques on your airbrush paintings, on your portraits. So it's really cool. Let's zoom in on her eye and see if we could. Now everything's on the table. And that's one of the great things, you know, coming into Airbrush from outside, right? Coming from the outside, coming from the fine art world. I'm learning so much going back into oil painting and pastel that I'm taking from the airbrush world. And here's something I'm going to take from the airbrush world here is I'm going to see how it goes. But I'm going to use the razor blade. Get that beautiful specular light there. Let's do it with this eye as well. Everything's on the table, guys. Everything. And one of the things that I really want to touch on is that a lot of the great painters of the past, they've done things that you would not believe. And they didn't talk about it, but they did things that made that painting look as incredible as it is. And they used whatever techniques that were needed to get that effect. We can put that little pink color right here. We have a little bit right here too. Let's go with this eye. A little bit of pink right here. And a little bit there. Perfect. And we'll go ahead and put a little texture here. And so now we have this cream color. We could start putting some texture on this retrorbicularis oculi fat pad right here. A little bit of texture right there. And Wendy says she had to answer the phone. Oh, I'm glad you're back, Wendy. Gotta answer that phone, definitely. And let's zoom out. Whoop, there we go. So now I can take my white here. Whoop. And I could maybe just clean up her eye here. Paintings are not made to be looked at from close up, so you know, you don't have to be perfect. If you look at a Rembrandt, oh my God, there's a lot going on. If you look up close, you might be disappointed, but if Rembrandt was here, he'd tell you your painting is not made to be looked at from 2 inches away. But this is where everything, all the hard work in parts 1 to 7 come together. So now we're working in part 9. We're enjoying the fruit of our labor, you know, and you guys, you know, watching my live stream all this time. So now we can actually come in and get the negative shapes, and not too many either, just here and there we get some negative shapes into our eyebrow here. Just a little bit. Just to tell us that it's an eyebrow and it's not painted in, that it's made from her hair, right? That's what we want. We want to make sure it's made from her hair. And so one of the things I want to talk about is the consistency when painting. And I know a lot of people will say, okay, Tim, you know, not everyone has the time to be consistent, and that's not the consistency I'm really referring to, although that is cool if you have the time, but the consistency of continuing, going forward, regardless of how you feel like emotionally about it. Just continue going forward, continue working, continue staying the course. And if we do that, then we're going to see like advances in your work that after a year or two that you're going to be totally surprised. because you're just being consistent. Regardless of how you feel, we all get bummed out and discouraged. Believe me, I'm right up there with you as far as that happens. But as long as we stick with doing it, whether you're, watching Steve's live streams every week, or, my live streams, or, you have a mentorship or a class that you continue doing. And for me, doing my live streams, just continue no matter how I feel. That doesn't matter. I'm just going to continue on the course, because everyone knows about momentum, right? Momentum's really interesting, but once you lose it, it's so hard to get it back. Once you have it, you're just like on cruise control. Here's an interesting brown. Burnt umber. Uh-oh. It's not blumber though, Mr. Leahy, but burnt umber. Very cool. So, but yeah, just stay the course, right? Just continue fighting, continue pushing yourself, and you don't got to make how do you say, you don't got to be like doing crazy amount of hours, but just like if you're doing 2 hours a week, stick with that 2 hours a week, and you'll just see the magic happen in the course of a year, right? And Honey says she took a few steps backwards with all the study and training over the last year, but still, yes, and I can see that, your work is getting better and better, Honey, because you are being consistent. And, I'm seeing your anatomy really starting to come together. It's really great. So continue what you're doing, and, if you feel like, I'll just take 2 weeks off or 3 weeks off, or just say, I'm just going to do my 2 hours a week, and that's it. I'm going to commit to that. And you're going to continue to see that growth, Honey, that you're having. And you are having a lot of growth. And I think also it's like money in the bank. So your work is still getting better for all that consistency that you did for the past couple of years, right? At least 3 years now. You've been really applying yourself, and it's really nice to see, and it's encouraging. So you encourage me and many others out there, Honey, and you keep doing it, because I love your work, your subject matter. It's all really cool, and the art world needs you. Don't ever think otherwise. The art world needs you, Honey. So you have my seal of approval. Of course, my seal of approval is, and one token to get you on the subway. But honestly, you really are important to the art world. So keep going, keep going. 2 years, see that? See what 2 years have done? I mean, you look about your work before that, and I know you're going to be surprised if you really look at it, just how far you've come. And it's good to do that every now and then. I'm going to do some pink here. Put some life in her cheeks here. See that? Just little scumbling. So in oil painting, if you were scumbling, that would be on dry, that would be actually on a dry surface. This is almost like a scumbling and a glaze. So because we are glazing over this pink, but we are scumbling it into this mid-tone here. And then here is this like interesting lavender color right here. It doesn't matter what medium you're using, it's all the same thing, right? I would do the same thing with the airbrush here. There's no difference. I'm just using a different, it's the same pigment. I'll even go further. This is all the same pigment as airbrush, same pigment as pastel, everything. It's just a different vehicle, but it's the same thing. Same. And then right here, which is cool, starting to see a lot going on now. That right here, the light coming off of this muscle right here. Honey says before that it was 30 plus years. Wow. I'm so glad, I'm so glad you picked up the pencil again and the airbrush and everything. Yeah, if we could make our traumatic experiences, a lot of times, we find meaning in life during tough times with creativity, whether it's writing, making bread, writing poetry. That's how we make sense of things and how we make beautiful things out of the ashes. God says that in the Bible. And that's what he does. He makes the beauty out of the ashes, so to speak. And that's true in my life. I mean, I had a traumatic experience, and believe it or not, that started me airbrushing. So that traumatic experience kind of put me on this telemetry, this path of working in acrylic and airbrush, and I put down the pastel for a while, but it's how I worked it out, and learning from all this amazing airbrush community. You guys all embraced me, and I appreciate that. With open arms, you guys embraced me, and I'll always be loyal to the airbrush community. And if anyone ever says that, airbrush in the art world says airbrush is not art, I'll tell them, pick up an Iwata and see how it goes. Let's see how you can do with it. And you know what? They'll shut up, because they can't do that. People may poo-poo airbrush, but you know what? If they can't do it, they need to be quiet. And you know what? Airbrush will kick their butt. And I am 100% sticking up for my airbrush brothers and sisters. That's for sure. See how she's coming out? And right here, you can see there's a harshness here. And I'm going to actually scumble. So when I'm lightening it up, that's more of an opaque scumble. So I'm going to take this color here, and I'm just going to kind of soften this up here, because we have to see part of her, this is her zygomatic bone, which attaches from the temporal to the frontal to the maxilla. So we have to know where this zygomatic bone, it's one piece, and it's going to be affected by the light. With that knowledge, I'm not just getting the likeness of this person, but what I'm doing is I'm getting the anatomical humanity of her, right? By knowing that this is our zygomatic bone. So it comes down here, attaches right here to the temporal, to the frontal right here, and off to the side it connects to the temporal here, and then over here it comes out, and right here it connects to the maxilla. And the same thing's happening on both sides, and let's see, so cool. So thank you for that, Mr. Gregory. And so Gregory is also saying how great it is that you're getting the joy from the art, and that's important. And joy doesn't go away. Happiness happens with, circumstances, but joy is something that no one can take away, That's yours. Wendy says illustration colors are unique in that the final cure is delayed for 48 hours, during which colors may be softly erased for subtle manipulation. Yeah, Drew Blair is just amazing. He is the grandfather of airbrushing, right? Drew is just, he doesn't get the amount of credit that he deserves. I mean, just incredible. Raul says, honey, you're so talented. Just enjoy the process and let the spirit sing through. So true. So very true. Wendy says, when mixed with 40-30 balancing clear or 40-50, UVL's gloss. Oh, so there's a way you can make it so they don't erase. Okay, that may be it. And look at that, Raul uses distilled water. So in the comments out there, you can let me know what Createx do you use, and do you use different Createx colors like Wicked and some? I'd love to hear your thoughts, because I'm just fascinated with what's going on with Createx now, and I really want to start talking about Createx more, and you know, really getting in there, and I want to expand that. You know, I don't want to just be limited to just, you know, my Airbrush India inks or the Extreme Patriot Arrow. I want to expand and listen to you guys as well, you know. No, great going, honey. You're doing great. Just continue what you're doing. So Brad says he uses Wicked Paint. And so what do you like about Wicked Paint so far, Brad? So that's cool. So we have one Wicked. Raul uses the illustration colors. I know Mr. Leahy is the quintessential master of Wicked. That's for sure. Love what he's doing with that. It's just out of this world, you know. Wendy says Wicked are beautiful, but you have to get better. You have to get good ventilation. Brad says great coverage. Thank you for that. That's perfect. Love to hear that. Thank you, sir, for your insight. Thank you, Wendy, for your insights. And so as you can see, I'm working on the zygomatic bone, and right here we have the maxilla, right? And the maxilla comes down like this. So it's this hard bony area. So we're just going to make sure that it gets much lighter. And, you know, getting the anatomy, a lot of good things happen. You get the expression, the humanity. You get the individual qualities of this young lady, as well as the human qualities, the anatomical structure of her. Little bit of a darker color here, so this would be called a glaze. So even in colored pencils, you would want to look for more of a transparent color. And let's try this. So what I'll do is I'll just ever so lightly, and have spaces between my strokes here, and this way you'll see more of the color underneath. So even though I'm working in colored pencil, I'm using it as if I was doing a transparent. Remember, transparent just means seeing what's underneath, right? And then we'll come back here, kind of blend this out. Then we'll come over here with this kind of rich color and bring that over here like this. There we go. That was a little ardent, a little strong, so I'll just kind of knock that back. There we go. So right here we have this beautiful light coming right along the zygomatic bone. There we go. See that? 1 second rule always in effect. Just going to hit that little bit of light right there. Oh, honey, have a great night. Thank you so much for hanging out. Thank you so much for the super chat sticker. I really appreciate you, and don't work too hard, okay? Happy July. So, and Raul says that he uses them all. Some are more opaque than other lines. He says the illustration is more for paper and gesso services. The Wicked line is more robust. So you would recommend Wicked more for, let's say, custom work? Or not more for, but you would recommend that for that reason? Let's see. I think I went a little crazy over here, so I'll just knock this back. Now, worst comes to worst, you can always erase, so no worries. Just gotta make sure I don't use an eraser that is. See that? Just got rid of it, so no worries. Now we do have some specular highlights. That's the camera person in me. Specular is more of like a mirror effect, so it'll actually show the shape of your light source. and that would be the specular highlight. And that happens on harder, more reflective surfaces. Smoother surfaces are going to be a little more specular. And a rougher surface, you're going to have an even distribution of the reflection of light, right? So that basically is. Wendy says, so you can paint Wicked on the tennis shoes. I believe so. I've seen both, right? Wicked for wood sneakers, metal surfaces. Wow, that is cool. I can see where the Create Text, the illustration might not have, but then again, you can put stuff with illustration colors so it could be more bendable and stuff like that, but you're probably right that it's probably best to go with Wicked, but I definitely will get more information on that as I talk with my friends over at Create Text. We have some colored pencil work in the hair. So I'm really getting pretty happy with this here. Let me see if I can just scumble some white here just to calm this down. So this is, I'm still going to finish this offline, but this is going to be it for this week. For this week, it'll be it for this painting of Michela. And, oh, look at that. Wendy says, looks better than the reference. Well, I thank you for that. Very encouraging. Really enjoyed painting her. I painted her several times already. So Raoul says, here's the thing that's cool though. All Wicked lines are heavily pigmented, so you can buy the illustration clear and mix the Wicked and dilute it and retain the illustration properties. Wow. So what is the illustration clear? I'd love to know. That's cool, Raoul. That's great information. Holy Toledo. See, that's why I want to start using Createx, because, you know, a lot of you guys and girls know a lot about it, and you'll get more from it than me just using the golden. So that's basically, you know, my encouragement to do that. It comes with a clear, since it's transparent. Oh, okay. Interesting. Very interesting. Okay, so I'm going to chill out with her, with the colored pencils for a little bit. And I want to show you how I would basically, at this late stage, because there's more hair, even though that's not in the reference. So I'm actually going to come out here and bring this over here with my pencil. And then this comes way out here. And I'm even going to increase the size of her hair. And then on this side, we have the hair comes down much further. So this is a little more massive here. And then of course, we need more mass here like this. And I think changing that will kind of bring out, give more respect to her beauty. And then we can see the zygomatic bone comes in as it comes out here. There's more of a, I kind of missed that, so I can come in with the colored pencil. And then I could just kind of start it with the colored pencil a little bit. Actually, I can just do the whole thing with colored pencil here. And then later, if I want to come over it with the paint, that's fine. But I kind of like, you know, having a more massive mass of hair. It does much better for the overall look of this painting. But like I said, the more you work in different mediums, the more you can pretty much go from one medium to the next rather effortlessly. But you can see how just by expanding her hair, there's more breadth. You know, she's less stiff and more lifelike. And with hair, it's a constant work in progress, right? Come in with different colors. So this purple along with this brown will make a chromatic black. So for all intents and purposes, it's a really dark value and basically is just black. It's really all about value. Like it much better. That was a good decision. Sometimes I make good decisions, guys. Sometimes. Okay, so we have this like kind of interesting brown, but we can get there with two different colors. So I could kind of come in first with this burnt sienna kind of color here. Kind of bring that over here like this. Come in with this Naples yellow kind of color. And then come back in. Kind of just work this together. Let's see what I missed here. Raoul says the clear transparent can also be used as an intercoat to protect the pencil and the paint. Wow, very cool. Love that. So that is, and what is the designation? Is it like the 4050? That I know is a little bit different, but is that something we should be looking into, like the 4050, or is it something different, sir? So let's see what the colored pencil does. Wow, look at that. So look at this, everybody. So with the colored pencil, I can actually get some of those stray hairs here, which is really nice. Mr. Dwayne, how are you? Great to see you, my friend. How's everything in San Luis Obispo? Go Mustangs. Not banana slugs. I'll always say that. So glad to see you, my friend. How's everything? How's the painting going? And so her hair has a lot of little flyaway hairs here. So I could put some in here like this. Kind of give some nice energy to her. Not that she needs it, she certainly doesn't. One of these days when I do a live stream and, you know, I'm painting like a really great personality, like Miss Cruz here, I really hope that one day they just stop by and say, hey, I love the painting! Tim, it's great to see you! But so far that hasn't happened. But I hope one day. So, right here, in here, this shadow is a little harsh. It's a little too opaque, right? So, I want to create a little bit of a transparency here. So I'm just going to put this gray here. And just so it doesn't look so harsh, you know? And illustration base 5090. Do they still sell that? Because I know they did back in the day. I hope that's still available. Maybe that's why Drew told me it would only last for 24 hours because he was using reducer. Raul said, Wendy says, Raul, I don't think the 5090 came with her set. Dwayne says, hey Tim, all good here. Was a busy weekend. Hope you had a great week in Forth. Thank you, sir. Working hard, staying out of trouble, the best that I can, of course. And so that was cool. So adding this little bit of gray there gives a translucency to the shadows, and also kind of gives more sense of atmosphere, that there's air between us and Michela. And what really is this gray when I'm doing it in this kind of glazing technique is I'm creating a sense of there's shadows, but it's not, its shadows are covering, but they're not covering her details, right? The details in her skin, details in her features. And you see how I do that by creating this kind of low saturated transition tone. There's a sense of what the old masters were doing. So there's a method of my madness. Raoul 5090 is a separate purchase. Oh, cool. Okay, a lot of great info in here. So in the future, I believe I'm going to be working in Createx, Mr. Dwayne. So we would love to have your insight on the next project coming up. I'm pretty sure it's going to be the next week or the week after that. But I know Mr. Dwayne is quite an authority on this stuff. So looking forward to your input, my friend. And so Dwayne uses a lot of the illustration transparent base a lot when using illustration colors. Wow, so you use that a lot. So what would be your main purpose for the transparent base? When would you use it? When wouldn't you use it, guys? It's all about Tim learning right now. The roles have reversed. Okay, so I see a bit of light coming in here. And of course, this little bit of light has to do with your zygomatic bone. Zygomatic bone was also called the cheekbone, the malar bone. That little bit of light is, now there it doesn't look right, but when we go here, zoom out, that little bit of light looks cool because it's like the light is peeking through. We'll put a little bit here too. Wendy says, I can't tell what came with my set because I have separated. I'm just going to use a little boys' room, guys. I'll be right back. Talks amongst yourselves. Okay guys, I am back. Thank you so much for waiting. So I'm so glad you're here. Let's see. So what did I miss? Dwayne says he used it to really make the colors transparent. That would be like using that solvent-free gel or liquid in oil paints, right? Or the, what is it? The acrylic medium when working in acrylics, right? So definitely I could see that. So that's very cool. And Brad says, what were the problems with it, Raul? And because Raul says 4012 was no longer made. So I'm not sure about that. And Patrick says 4050 is the clear 4011's reducer. Cool. Great information all over the place. So Raul says there was some issues with the 4011 or the 4012 and not the 4011. Great information. So that is all really cool stuff going on here. So really appreciate that. Oh, Dwayne, so I wanted to talk to you because you are a real friend of the channel. I don't want you to miss this. But I don't know, but you could use shellac on paper, some of your favorite paper, as long as it's a nice thick paper. And then you can airbrush on top of it, just one coat of the clear transparent. It is light fast, it's acid free, so definitely if you want more information about that, let me know. Either email me or what have you, but I didn't want you to miss that, because that's something that I talked about. You might already know about that, sir, but it's really great. It's in replace of gesso, and you're welcome, Dwayne. And so what I like doing is you can take like your sketch pad, and just, you know, with one of these foam brushes, you know, those foam brushes, do one coat over it, let it dry, and then you can just airbrush on it. You know, you could oil paint on it, you can do straight acrylic. It's really great. So this was the example. So this is my first painting I'm working on, and this is oil paint on just a regular cardstock paper, which is really amazing. And it's really taken to the oil. There's no bleeding through, which is really amazing. I'm even doing some scumbling techniques, and there's no damage to the paper because the shellac really kind of holds that together. It's like a true barrier, and it really makes a big difference. And I know if it takes oils, it'll take airbrush, right? But one of the things I like doing, so here's an airbrush painting that I've been working on, and what I did with my Airbrush India ink and the Create text is I went ahead and put a layer of that shellac over it, and now I'm going to airbrush over this in color. So now I have, but you can say, well, why, you know, could I just have airbrushed over this without the shellac? No, because the paper would not handle the shellac well at all. I mean, the paper would not handle the color, and the airbrush, it wouldn't handle it. It would soak through. It would be a disaster. I know, I tried it. But with the shellac, it's going to work the same way that a board would, which is gesso. So it opens up a whole new world for us, and I definitely wanted you to know. So that's cool. And so great information. Let's see. So Wendy says she has some Wicked Reducer. That's cool. And Patrick says use a 4012 but strain it 15 minutes after mixing, then buy the 4011 next time. Interesting. Very cool viewpoints here. Raul used distilled water with his illustration paint. Learning a lot from you guys and girls, right? Definitely. Definitely learning a lot. And so thank you for sharing your information with us. That is so cool, and always interested in learning from these great artists out there. You all are amazing, but you all know that. I don't have to tell you, but it's good to hear it though, right? It's good to hear it. every once in a while we need to hear it. But I appreciate this. But notice that we, you know, kind of, you always have to make sure that there's plenty of hair to support the cranial mass, right? It's crucial. And that's why you have to make sure that if you don't, you can do a beautiful portrait, but if you don't have enough hair, it's not going to look right. And you know, your viewers will be like, great painting and everything, but something instinctively will be like, I don't know, there's something wrong with it. Not enough room for the cranial mass in the portrait. You know, the hair has to be large enough. So that's important. And Wendy says, he was trying to prove that you don't need stencils. That was Drew, by the way, the freehand class, and they used reducer to remove the highlights. Very cool, very innovative, Mr. Drew Blair. And Patrick says reducer has chemicals that helps the binding. Cool. And Dwayne says he uses Windex to remove highlights. Interesting. Very cool information. And Wendy says they use that too, but that gave her a headache. So all very interesting stuff, you know. So this is great info. You guys are just continuing to bless me with info, and people watching this video either live or recorded, which is all amazing. So thank you. So if you're watching this recording, there's going to be a link in the description for the products for the Gavar I talked about, the Solvent gel by Gamblin, and also the Zinsler Bullseye Transparent Shellac. So I'm going to leave links to that if you are watching this. So that's really good. This way you don't got to go and search, you know. I just have it here, boom. I get a little tiny baby commission, but you don't pay anything more. And that, it kind of builds up, you know. I end up getting some free paint or something like that, which is great, you know, on Amazon, you know, that builds up. So this is going to be it for my painting of the beautiful Michela. And so I'm not sure what we're going to do, but I do have some really cool ideas that I think you might really love. Let's see here. So here's something that you can do. We can actually paint some of the negative space in her hair, like that. So it seems like there is the background coming through in the hair. Just make sure that your spaces are not equidistant and the same size, like that. And let's see if we can do anything like that on this side. Definitely, like right here. It doesn't have to be the same color. It just has to be in a ballpark, and it'll work. So you don't have to be a stickler. You just do a little bit like that, which is cool. And then we can take this and accentuate her pupil, both of them here. And of course, you know, working in colored pencils only works when we are doing it, you know, with the airbrush and working it, and then we can do this little detail here. So I like sharing that with you all. Oh, Brad says, really looking great. Thanks for another live stream. Thank you, Brad, for the super chat. You're amazing. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Great work you're doing. I just heard that Brad is actually going to have a one-person show in Canada in like 11 months. So I'm working with him because he's in my mentorship program to get the publicity and everything. So he has an opportunity like that, you know. I'm going to try and make sure he capitalizes as much as possible. Since he's my mentorship student, he gets all the information, you know, like when you do have a show, what to do, all that great stuff. And Raul ordered the shellac. So cool. You're going to love it. Dwayne, thank you for the super chat, my friend. You are amazing. Thank you so much for your continued support and your friendship. And I'm really going to count on you because I'm going to be working in Createx. So thank you, Dwayne. And thank you for all, you know, Raul for your information, Patrick, Wendy. This is going to be great. So I think this is the record for the amount of super chat in one day. So thank you so much. That's really great of you guys, and I really appreciate you so much. But yeah, so Raul, I'm going to be can I send you some videos of the people who add that shellac so you can see? I'll do that tonight. Some really good videos. There's this one Korean guy, Raul, and just hit the closed captions. Make sure you close captions for English, and you should see the work he does. It's just ridiculously good. So very excited. So that you should get that in a couple of days. And I'm here if you have any questions. Listen to this. Createx is Dwayne's favorite paint, illustration, and Wicked. So if I may, I'll be drawing from your inspiration and your knowledge, Dwayne, in the next couple of weeks. So looking forward to that, getting better. Oh, definitely, my pleasure, Raul. You're gonna love it, love it, love it. And it's all about experimentation, right? And you know, when we experiment, we go outside our comfort zone, but that's when we mess up a little bit, but then we kick butt, you know? It's like, very cool. Thank you, Dwayne, for your graciousness and sharing your info with little old me. And so, definitely. So we had a lot of fun with each other, you know. My first time back working in airbrush and color since 2018, as far as a portrait and doing a live stream. So the first time since 2018. Now that might be a little strong. So how would I combat that? I would just add this gray here and kind of cool it down. And so we could kind of kill the saturation a little bit. And remember, saturation comes forward, right? So we'll just do that, and that will help us kind of bring that back to where it needs to be. Same thing here. So if I kill the saturation, actually with the colored pencils I got the same exact color that I did in airbrush. So it really, Dwayne says looks awesome. Oh, looking awesome. Oh, so great. Thank you, sir. It's like riding a bike. With me it's like downhill. You know, just took off my trim. No, I'm just kidding. But no, you guys are great. Thank you, everybody. I just want to thank everyone for hanging out. I mean, this was one of the better live streams in such a long time because of you all, not because of me. So I want to thank you know, everyone for the super chat stickers. I want to thank Mr. Chris Garcia, Steve Leahy, Brad, Chris Garcia twice, Brad twice. I want to thank Honey. I want to thank Wendy. I want to thank Colette. I want to thank Mr. Dave Gregory from Oklahoma. Thank you so much. Quite amazing. And I want to thank, you know, as always, Mr. Dwayne Marshall. If I missed anybody, I'm so sorry. But it doesn't mean, it's just my brain may not be working at 11:30. So just thank you so much. This has literally been a very memorable live stream. I mean, honestly, I feel really like it was a really special live stream. I had this breakthrough and I wanted to share it with special people, you know, the shellac. And I really think it's something that, you know, experiment with, and, you know, maybe bring all that paper that you have, the different colored paper, and kind of do those small studies and work out technique without having to have such a precious board or something like that. Because sometimes we just want to play with the paint. Cass Fuller said that to me one day. Just play with the paint, and that's changed everything for me. Everyone have a great weekend. Thank you so much. And I look forward to next Wednesday. Anyone have any questions? Always I am me on Facebook. You can email me. It's always great to hear from yous. Take care, everybody. Happy belated 4th of July.